entrepreneur, you are setting out to start a business. What is the scope of your business? It is very important that you understand the scope of what you want to go into. And after that, you try to figure out how much funding do you need to start off this. As a person, I like to tell people that they don't start big. It's better to start small. Then in starting this small, by the time you evaluate the scope of your business, how much do I really need to start this business? There are different ways you can source for funds, but I think every day the major challenge we have is that of information. If I want to innovate, I think we'll have something like the small business loans. We have some being offered by Bank of Industry. We have some being offered by Bank of Agriculture, and we have some other intervention funds too, being issued by CBN and disbursed through deposit money banks too. You can also go through any of those banks to get. But aside that too, there is an aspect of a startup that people hardly explore. There is something called crowdfunding, that you can sell an idea to a group of people. Maybe I intend to start a business and my startup capital is estimated to be, let me say, about 500,000 naira. And rather than go borrow the money from the bank with huge interest and with all the uncertainties, you can actually sell that same idea to a group of people, whether you can call them angel investors or whatever, that maybe 10 people can actually come up with 50,000 naira and raise the 500,000 naira for you with certain negotiation. Maybe they can come in as an investors, or you people can have a profit sharing agreement in place. These are some of the ways I think that we can raise funds to. Some too, friends and families can also. But in the aspect of like the banking, this thing, for you to be able to raise funds, Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, certain things has to be put in place. First, your business must be registered. The bank or any formal organization will not give money to you as a person. They want to treat that business as an entity, which presupposes that it should have been registered. And after the registration of that, they want to see your business plan, your cash flow projections. Okay, you are looking at $500,000. How do you intend to intervention funds that will get maybe through CB, and those funds could be single digit things in plan? You have some of these things in place too, so that by the time you are making your applications too, you can speak through your application convincingly that you are ready for business. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Mfon. So Pastor Dennis has just joined us, so I would hand over to him to ask the next line of questions. Thank you so much for coming in, Pastor Dennis. All right, so he has said I should go on. Let's allow him time to settle. So, Brother Kelvin, thank you for coming in on the program this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so we're still talking about small businesses. As you see around the country, and when you even hear in the news, what we are seeing is the economic crisis that is going to follow this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, to cushion that effect, since we know that people are not employing right now, rather people are laying off their staff. And so the way forward is for our people, young people within the church, men and women within the church, to go about businesses. But the big problem that people often complain when you talk to people about going into a business, they'll tell you, I don't have money. How do I get money to fund a business? So we really want to know if there are avenues where people who are interested in doing businesses can get resources for their businesses? And how do they assess these things? Do they need a Nigerian factor where you need to know somebody, you need to have a politician or a government official to assess this funding? How do we go about it? Please share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Really, there are a lot of businesses you can do these days where you might not use your personal funds. I listened to Brother Fon talked about getting funding from other sources.
Yeah.
Yes, I've listened to Brother Fon talk about getting funding from other sources. Recently, I was talking to a friend here in Abuja, and he
Yeah.
introduced me to a particular guy um, uh, who was laid away from his work from a certain corporation. I won't want to mention, and
Yeah.
he went into deliveries of dairy products. He went
Yeah.
into delivery of meat and other products here in Abuja,
Yeah.
and he didn't use his money
Okay.
to. He goes to Dede after you deliver, after you've ordered, and then he delivers meat for you, all quantities. You understand? He goes there, he collects the meat from people, from the butchers, and
Mm.
then delivers to homes here in Abuja, and he makes I think 1,000 naira for delivery, and the guy has been on business during this pandemic, and he's been doing well, seriously, and I think those are the other areas I think you can also explore if you cannot access those funds, because sometimes the bureaucracy in getting those funds are high, and documentations too to access those funds sometimes um, could be a bottleneck. So that's my take. So
All right. Thank you so much for sharing these experiences that sometimes you just need to start. Both of you have agreed that you just need to start with what you have. And you've shown us how possible it is to start a business without the finances. The finances are the solution. Now, I'll go back to Brother Amfon. You talked about people becoming an entity. And somebody is sitting there and saying, how now do I become an entity? What do you mean by me, if I want to do a business and I have to become an entity? Please, can you elaborate on that part of the answers that you provided when you were talking earlier? Hello, Brother Amfon. Can you hear me?
Hello, Bro Vincent.
Yes.
Yes, please come again.
Yeah, you said that for people to go into a business, they need to become an entity, okay, not like an
That's
individual. So
that's right.
can you share some of the processes that these people who may be interested in going into a business may take for them to become an entity? And then what do you mean in the first place? What do you mean by an entity?
Okay. First, I'd like to say that an entity is a body that can sue and be sued.
Okay.
So when we talk about entity here, okay, my name is Mfon.
Yes.
I'm going through a particular business. I want to manufacture. I want to go into manufacturing of bulbs or whatever.
Yes.
I should be able to come up with a company
Yes.
and that is registered with CSC Corporate Affairs.
Yes.
By the time that company is registered, it becomes a legal entity. That means that company is different from myself, Mfon.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that for you to go through this process, you must have it could be a business name, it could be a limited liability company or whatever, depending on the scope of your business.
Okay.
Have it registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And with that, you know that you are licensed by law to an entity. And all it takes is that you can do it yourself. You can engage the services of a lawyer. Is that first and foremost, you go to the portal. Once you come up with a business name, you go in for search. You do search first to establish if that name is already in use.
Okay.
If that name on, and you can go ahead, press certain this thing and have it registered.
Okay. Thank you so
And
much.
that becomes a business entity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Now, Brother Kevin, Brother Kevin, are you with us, sir?
Yes, I am. Yes, sir.
One of the problems that faces businesses in Nigeria that really cripples businesses is in fact around taxation, taxes and rates. And you will see that people always complain, some talk about double taxation, some talk about paying rates for all manner of things if you own a shop, own a business. Now, what are the incentives or tax breaks that are available for small businesses, people who want to start up a small businesses? Are there any breaks they can enjoy based on the provisions of the law or the recent Finance Act that the president has just signed into law?
Okay. Thank you, sir. The finance bill that the president just signed into law, it's really interesting that I really, that's really an area I really want to discuss today.
Okay.
Let me just start by thinking about the type of company now. Brown Fund just spoke about the corporate entity, about either you register a limited liability company or business name.
Yeah.
And so with those two, I would use to explain the benefits you have or the differences or what it entails in respect to tax. Tax has come to stay with us.
Okay.
And it's a major issue, and it's a major area the government is using or is looking at in raising funds for the economy.
Yeah.
And the Finance Act, the 2019 Finance Act that was signed into law 2020 brought a lot of new things. Now, let me start with VAT. Now, the VAT aspect of that Finance Act has been increased from 5% to 7.5%. Now, they say even the 7.5% is, from what is going on globally is the lowest. I think the lowest in the whole world. But you see, it's a way of increasing revenue for the country. And now the VAT aspect, which I would want to advise if you're starting up a company.
Yeah.
I'm using a limited liability company here, for example. If you have to remit your VAT, you have to be very cautious of that portion of VAT, because that's where the government is looking at in getting so much now. First of all, the VAT has been increased from 5% to 7.5%. And secondly, penalties. You pay penalties so much of not remitting or going to the tax office to remit your monthly filing of VAT, which I have to advise every new beginner, every taxable person, every new company to take into recognition. But don't worry, the government has made provisions. Now, in the new finance bill, the government have said divided companies into 3 thresholds: small, medium, and large. Now, for the small companies, you are VAT free because you have less than 25 million. You don't pay VAT on your turnover. You're exempted automatically, even when you are not trading on exempted items. You are off VAT automatically. And the government has also increased exempted items into the VAT component. And then for the medium company, it's the medium company, it's between 25 million to 100 million at that rate. And now, okay, let me go back to the small company. In case your company has been registered before, and you have been they have been charging VAT on you. All you have to do now is to apply for deregistry. You have to deregister your company and go back to the status where you're not paying VAT, so that you won't be charged, because the penalties for non-filing every month has been increased for the first month to 50,000, and then subsequently 25,000. But before it was just 5,000. So for other things like the medium company, you have between 25 to 100 million where you will be vatable, and tax rate at that point is 20%. If you submit your accounts, monthly yearly accounts early, you'll be given additional 2% for exemption.
Okay, let me hold your thoughts there. You just mentioned that if you submit your accounts early, when how early should one start to file in to do the returns?
Okay. For that, there are two things I talked about in submitting early. Yeah. First of all, for the VAT, you have to submit your VAT on the 21st of each month for the previous month. Now we are in May today.
Yes.
You have on or before 21st of May to submit your VAT filings for April. Yes. So if on failure to do that, the first month is 50,000, subsequently it's 25,000, which is huge. And no company should want to, no small beginner should want to venture into that. You have to either consult a professional to do it for you, or your office. It's simple. Just go there, fill the VAT forms. They are self-explanatory. Fill the VAT form, submit. If there's no turnover at that month, all you have to fill is nil, and just present your bank statement for a proof to say there was no turnover for this month, and you move ahead.
Right. Thank you so much. That's
secondly,
just hold your thoughts. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
We'll come back to you, Brother Kelvin. That's a lot of information that you've shared with us, very importantly. But I just want to ask Brother Mfon, before we come back to Brother Kelvin, what are some of the specific requirements for one to register with the Bank of Industry, or to get any funding from the Bank of Industry?
First. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. They want to see your registration document. They want to see your business plan. And in some cases, they'll request for your account statement. If that business has been in existence for a while, they might want to waive that bid. However, because the money they are going to give you, it's not going to be paid. They're not going to pay you by hand. They will still require your account details and your BVN details and your cash flow projections. Basically, that's what they'll need from you.
So do the Bank of Industry give you resources even if it's into your bank, or they will give you the equipment that you require?
It all depends on what you are going into, because in some cases, you want to get equipment, they'll rather fund equipment. All you do is that you submit the bill to them, they know where you are getting the listing from, and they make payment to that listing. There are some too that they know that you need certain amounts for your running costs, and such that part of the listing can be disbursed directly to you, while the other ones for maybe fixed assets and all that go straight to the vendor or the wherever you're buying the listing from.
All right, thank you so much. So now let's go back to Brother Kelvin. We really want to, people want to know, because this finance bill that the president, or this finance law that the president has signed, is so huge. The volume is so big. A lot of people really do not understand what's inside. So all we hear from most of us who are as citizens, who are not professionals, we only hear that they've increased VAT and that some businesses are exempted and so on, and that our GSM will be taxed, DST cable will be taxed and so on. Now, how do we benefit from the recent finance law? Is there anything that we can benefit as a people, as people who are interested in going into businesses? Is there any way that we can benefit or take advantage of that law? Is there anything there that is pro masses?
Yes. Thank you, sir. There are lots to benefit. You know, the finance bill is basically to reduce or to increase the ease of doing business in Nigeria. You know, in other parts of the world, the finance bill comes with the budget every year. So Nigeria just started this year, and we expect that every year, every appropriation bill that goes, the finance bill also would accompany it. Now, in regards to the benefits we have, I in my introduction speech I was talking about um, the additions to exemptions in VAT. A lot of food items have been added, tertiary educations, secondary, primary, added to exemptions so that those doing business at that level or they'll all be exempted. This is to encourage you to go towards issues like agriculture, food. Recently, sanitary pads, tampons have also been added to the exemption list of those that will not be paying the VAT to it. I think that 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 area too is to help you ease business. And for new startups, you
Yes.
still have you still have the normal 6 months of total tax exemption, and if even after a year or 3 years, you you were supposed to pay what they call a pre-operational levy if you have not commenced business.
Yeah.
But for now, that has been taken out. A pre-operational levy usually goes for 25,000 naira. That has been taken out of the finance bill. So you can still stay a lot of times, understand your business before you actually declare yourself to say you have started operations.
Wow. Thank you so much for this. You've really opened our eyes to see the benefits that we can take advantage of in this finance law, because people are afraid when they saw it that the president has signed. You know, there was a lot of fear in the. Okay, so still on Brother Kelvin.
Sure.
Yeah. What number of staff do people need to have before they register? What number of staff do people need to have before they register them for pension? Is it compulsory to register your staff for pension?
Uh, if for a new company,
Yeah.
the Pension Act, there won't minimum exactly three. You need three staffs minimum to have a PENCOM certificate.
Okay.
To have a compliant PENCOM certificate, you need at least three staffs, and your company must have been trading or been or incorporated for at least 6 months for you to be issued that certificate.
Okay.
And for PENCOM, they still use the minimum. They still use the minimum wage of 18,000
Okay.
in their processes. Yeah. So the new minimum wage of 30,000 is not applicable for PENCOM as at 2020. Maybe before the end of the year or after 2020, they might apply that 30,000.
Okay. Okay. That is if state governments agree to pay the minimum wage, because we are seeing that a lot of governments are not, state governments say they are unable to pay the minimum wage of 30,000 naira. Some are still negotiating with their staff. Thank you so much, Deb. So, but I'm fun now. We want to find out. There are today we are seeing that a lot of businesses are going online, okay? And then people are thinking of how to bring in products from another country. If one wants to start any sort of importation business, how do they go about it?
Okay, thank you for your question. Please, before I proceed with this question, let me just add something I missed in the call. You asked about requirements for accessing facilities from Bank of Industry.
Yeah.
I forgot to add that one of the key requirements is the management organizational structure of that company. And in some cases, they'll ask for tax clearance. Okay. Tax clearance for the company, and if it's like a public liability company, they'll also ask for two of the directors.
Okay.
You want to import stores into the country.
Yes.
The first thing you set out to find out is, that there are certain items that are on the prohibitive list that you cannot bring into the country.
Okay.
There are certain items too that you can legally import into the country. The first thing is, what am I importing into the country? Is it allowed? Am I allowed to bring such things in? Once you are able to establish that, is that you make contact, with whoever or with the country of origin where you are importing this thing from. And once you establish that contact, and you are, hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, once you establish that contact, you can actually approach the CBN. There is something called Form Q, which is actually meant for, Form Q, which is actually meant for import. What the Form Q does is that it will afford you the opportunity of accessing foreign exchange at the official rate that is meant for importers.
Okay.
There is an insurance part too that you also have to fulfill. There is an insurance demand that you have to provide for. There is also a Standard Organization of Nigeria. There are certain certificates that they'll also issue to you. And depending on what you are bringing into, they might also need NAFDAC certifications, for whatever you're bringing in. So you get some of these things in place. Once you get some of these things in place, you can proceed with your imports. Of course, you know that you pay customs duties. When this thing gets in, once you declare this thing, certain duties will be established that you have and file those things, and you're good to go.
Okay, so how about obtaining a letter of credit for this importation?
Yes, letter of credit is also very key. But in the case of letter of credit here is that, okay, I'm not paying money to wherever or the seller or wherever I'm getting my shipment from or my importation from,
Yeah.
I need, hello?
Yes,
I need some form of guarantee. So maybe you approach a local bank here, a domestic bank, so to speak, who will now issue you that letter. That letter is more or less to give the seller some level of comfort that upon receipt of these goods and in good conditions, that payments will be effected, such monies will be transferred. And in some cases, the bank will insist that you have the equivalent of that amount to take care of all the bills, the insurance, and the freight cost in the account. It should have been warehoused in a particular account, and they'll go ahead to issue letter of credit.
Okay, thank you so much there. So now we'd like to go to Brother Kelvin just to find out from him, because really one of the key issues, again, two of you are really hitting the nail in the head with regards to the key issues that are facing business people and small businesses, and one of the main reasons why people are afraid of going into businesses. We know that it's very profitable, yet there are these bottlenecks that we often experience. And one of them is regards to taxation and also sourcing of financing, which both of you are tackling very well. So, Brother Kelvin, I want to find out, if I have a business, okay, and I want to prepare my account, must my account be audited by a chartered accountant.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Vincent.
Yeah.
You know, the original owners of an account statement is the company itself.
Yes.
Now, you prepare your account, and auditor doesn't prepare your accounts for you.
Okay.
What an auditor does is just to come and verify those accounts if
Mm-hmm.
the accounts you have prepared
Yeah.
are in accordance with accounting practices and laid down accounting laws.
Yeah.
But the practice in Nigeria it's different.
Okay.
So you want to prepare an account, and then we know that you want account for maybe, let's say, you want some facilities in the bank, and we use that information maybe to beautify your account. In accounting, it's called window dressing.
Okay.
You understand? You window dress your accounts to help you see, access facilities or but before you submit these accounts to any corporate or any third party, it
Yeah.
must be vetted by an auditor,
Okay.
because those institutions will want to see that um, those accounting practice are really followed. That's the reason why you might need an auditor to come and vet your account so that the third party can at least um, accept them, or know that a professional has gone through the books to have ascertained that you did the right thing.
Okay. Thank you so much. That explains it. But now, when you render services, Brother Kelvin, when you render services as a business, there's something that is called withholding tax that the person you're providing the services for collects on your behalf as a business and pays to the government. Now, what benefits are there? Okay, are there any benefits that we can have from those withholding taxes that they've collected to apply for tax clearance? Is there a way to use the withholding tax deductions to apply for tax clearance?
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, you can. The withholding tax basically can be used to offset your company income tax.
Okay.
Like in practice, when you meet people and they tell you, "Oh man, I did one contract, 200 million," and
Yeah.
they withhold a certain amount of money, and then and they say that money is for tax. Why are you asking me to pay another tax again when they've
Yes.
already withheld
Mm-hmm.
some money? You see that withholding the credit you have with the relevant institution. Yes,
Yes.
in this case, the FIRS or the government, it's used basically to offset your company income tax,
Okay.
which is a major tax. You know, like I was saying, 20% of your taxable profit, it's a company income tax for the medium company as at today. So
Okay.
if you have a withholding, that can offset that that tax. And let me add to it, you
Yes.
basically you can ask for refund of your withholding credit if you want.
Okay. So before I let you go, and we go back to Brown Fund, can a public servant be a chairman of a corporation by law?
You there will be conflict of interest.
Okay.
You as a public servant, you just don't have to include your names in the documentations of another company, because there will be serious conflict of interest.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So now let's switch over to Brown Fund. You've talked extensively about the obtaining resources or funding or loans from the Bank of Industry. But let's now look at the Central Bank of Nigeria, because recently there's been this intervention that from the CBN to boost the economy by, I think that there's an amount that the CBN has kept to give out to small businesses small businesses, small and medium enterprises for their businesses. So we want to find out the various categorization, from the CBN regarding the small and medium enterprises.
Okay. Thank you so much for your question.
Yeah.
I think the most recent, let's start from the most recent, which is the particular stimulus package that was born out of the COVID-19 effect. It comes in two categories. We have the individual/household, and we also have the small and medium scale enterprises.
Yeah.
I think for the individuals, the limit is 3 million naira.
Okay.
If you can show a proof that you were affected by COVID-19 or your means of livelihood, you can apply for up to about 3 million naira. Whereas for the SMEs, you can apply for up to about 25 million naira. The limit there is 25 million naira.
Okay.
That's the one that CBN currently is handling. And I think the evaluation and all of that is done through Nassau Microfinance Bank. And upon going through that phase successfully, they'll forward your details to CBN, who will now disburse to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. But how do we deal with the other challenge of people who are going into businesses not properly skilled for the businesses that they are going into? So because you may have all this funding and then you still run the business aground. What then do we do?
Yes, that's the most important thing, because for me, I keep telling a lot of people that in most cases, funding is not the issue. At least from my personal experience, funding is not the issue. For me, the major challenge is capacity. A lot of people are so eager to start up a business, but have you taken time to learn the rudiments of that business? Over and beyond that, have you taken time to factor out the uncertainties that is associated with that business? How about the risk factor? How about the skill set? And there's something that is common with us too, with you, and that's why most businesses run aground.
Yeah.
You feel because I'm the owner of the company that it's my place to start the business, run it from A to Z on my own. I should be the one keeping record, I should be the manager, and I should be all of that. It doesn't make for efficiency in any way. So my advice to people would be that if you intend to start a business, first let that business be separated, separate that business from the ownership of the business, to the extent that no decision is taken, especially when it has to do with funds and expenditure, without putting certain controls in place.
Yeah.
And also ensure to run the business professionally. I don't have any experience in poultry. It doesn't mean that if tomorrow I have funding and because I have the land and I have the space, I can do poultry all of my own. No. Some level of training is required. I should be able to visit a particular farm with a track record of success in that particular field and learn the rudiments through them. So skill set is very important. As you are going in, develop your skill set around a particular business or venture you intend to go into, and where necessary to engage the services of a professional too for you to succeed. It's not enough to just go into business because you have access to funds. Sooner than later, you run that business aground. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very important to engage the services of a professional and to develop the right skills for whichever business that you're going to. And before I let you both go, I want to find out what advice, that you would want to give anybody coming into business that we've not talked about. Perhaps there are things that you want to share to really encourage people to go into businesses, because the aim of this session today is for us to encourage our youths and men and women in our church and the society at large to venture into businesses. So, Brother Kelvin, can you just share with us one last advice that you want to give people to go into business, encouraging them? Why should they go into business?
Okay, thank you, Brother Vincent.
Yeah.
for me, the way the world is going, the way things are going, you need to start doing things yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how corporations are not agreeing again. Um, Corporations just feel the profit is reducing day by day by keeping manpower. And if you're putting so much for these corporations and they pay you so little, when you can leverage on our populations and leverage on our high consumption rate of some products and make things good for yourself. Why not? I would really want every individual to look into starting up something with ourselves. And for for the documentations or incorporating the company,
Yeah.
in respect to tax, though, I would advise that if you're registering a company, you register a limited liability company. Um,
Okay.
Instead of registering a business name, because these days for tax there's no separation between a business name owner and the owner himself, especially when it comes to the incomes that enter, because
Yeah.
they'll charge other incomes. If they're looking for a third document to ascertain your income, they will not only look at your business name account, they might also look at your personal account for them to ascertain what enters your company as an income. But for a limited liability company, they are all only limited to the company's account, and that's what you're limited to. So I will advise for tax purposes and the way tax is going now in Nigeria, if you're opening a company as a startup, you should open a limited liability company. Though the process of registering, it might be a bit expensive, but you know, don't be penny wise, pound foolish. In respect to tax.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, brother Kelvin. So, your last thoughts, brother Amfon.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I like to say that whether we like it or not, change has come to stay. If you check some of the recent statistics that are being doled out, like the World Economic Forum said that in about 5 years' time, 35% of skills that are deemed essential and necessary today would have changed.
Yeah.
A lot of things would have replaced them. So my take to all my brethren is that develop yourself, develop yourself, develop yourself. Acquire new skills, and don't just acquire new skills. Where is the trend going? Where is the direction? Everything like these days, you see that is moving towards tech, is moving towards data literacy, is moving towards creativity and innovation. Try to enhance your skills in this direction. And
Yeah.
above all, when you want to go into a business, don't just think about the money. The money shouldn't be the driving force, even though ultimately we want to make money. Think of creating value first. When you begin to create value, money will come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mfon Ndon. We've been speaking with Brother Mfon Ndon. He's a banker, a corporate finance specialist with experiences in supporting financiers and helping SMEs grow. We appreciate you for joining us this evening. And we've also been speaking with Brother Kelvin Ndoma Oga. He's a chartered accountant with specialty in tax. He was trained both in Nigeria and in the UK, and he runs a thriving accounting firm in Abuja and is married with children. We really appreciate you both for availing us with your time, your knowledge, and your expertise this evening on this very special episode that will be running throughout the past 2 weeks. We appreciate Pastor Dennis Aizobu for joining us, Pastor Ibude Dele for joining us, Pastor Timemon, Pastor Basi, Mrs. Moji Aizobu. We really appreciate you for having the time to participate in this program live. We say thank you, and from my end, I say bye-bye and see you again on the next episode.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.